Welcome to the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland's 115th annual meeting. My name is Colleen Cotter. I am proud to serve as Legal Aid's Executive Director. The inspiration for this annual meeting is a quote from Ida B. Wells. "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them." Ida B. Wells was a suffragette. Because of Ms. Wells and her colleagues, American women won the right to vote 100 years ago with the ratification of the 19th Amendment. She was also a civil rights hero. Born a slave, she went on to co-found the NAACP. She was a journalist, a newspaper owner, and an educator. She led an anti-lynching crusade for which she won posthumously a 2020 Pulitzer Prize. Ida B. Wells was a truth seeker. Through her writing and courageous leadership, Wells shined the light of truth on the political, economic, and social oppression of Black people in America. We at Legal Aid are inspired by Ida B. Wells. We, too, are truth seekers. Democracy dies in darkness. The light legal aid attorneys, staff, and volunteers generate extends justice to create a better community for us all. This year, our entire team exhibited great resilience. They persevered, shining the light of truth upon injustice in our community, righting wrongs. You, our partners, volunteers, and supporters, helped generate that light. And each year we enjoy this gathering, the chance to celebrate with you the great outcomes of our work and the challenges and opportunities we see ahead. Make no mistake, there is nothing normal about this annual meeting. Typically, we gather with supporters and friends from Ashtabula, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake, and Lorain counties. A sold-out crowd of 1,000 plus gather in one room to celebrate. This year, in our separate rooms, we are proud to honor our tradition with this virtual celebration and short program, including a video, presentation of some special awards, legal aid report from Board President Mike Unger, keynote remarks from California Supreme Court Associate Justice Goodwin Liu, and we will wrap up in well under a billable hour's time. In a typical year at about this point, we must persuade our guests to sit down, enjoy your lunch and our program. Have you ever tried to get a room full of lawyers, business, and community leaders to stop chatting and sit down for a program? We miss that, and we miss all of you.
To support you. We understand it's really difficult. We'll plan to meet you tomorrow at 2 for the hearing.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's be
Not only that, we look forward to.
Once I heard that legal aid is going to take your case, it was like I had these huge cinder blocks. Like I had these huge cinder blocks that were just lifted off of me.
Any of us are only maybe a few steps away from being an eligible client should some event happen in our life.
It is unjust when people do not have proper representation because of their financial situation.
We meet the client, they're in a bad place, and by the time we're done with their case, they're in a better place in their life.
It's basic needs that we're helping with.
They're a beacon of hope to so many people that are living on the margins of society.
Well, the system is intimidating, it's complex, and you may be sacrificing rights you didn't know you had.
And what legal aid does is act like a light in a storm, finding people who are lost and guiding them through to the other side.
Everybody deserves legal representation in this country. That should be a no-brainer.
Those who are unseen, unnoticed, unrecognized, and
otherwise may not have a voice in our society.
They put a spotlight on issues to ensure that our society works and our justice system works fairly for all.
We look for ways to make systemic changes. So not only are we assisting with individual cases, but we're trying to make a difference for everyone across the board.
The work that Legal Aid Society of Cleveland is doing does have a ripple effect on our community.
They know what the issues are, and so they're able to deal effectively with them.
It's absolutely critical for everyone in this community to support legal aid.
It's a great force for good in our society.
Change is happening.
Change is happening.
Because of legal aid, change is happening.
Change is happening.
Change is happening. Let's be part of the change that is happening. Thank you.
As this video highlights, our practice is thriving. This year, we have helped thousands of our neighbors across our 5 counties. And despite the pandemic and social distancing, our legal aid has grown community partnerships, removed barriers to opportunity, and been a catalyst for community change. Last year, nearly 17,000 people were impacted by our cases. Thousands more empowered by our community legal education and outreach. We stopped evictions, we increased safety, and we saved our clients more than $13 million. And our efforts to expand justice through the Campaign for Legal Aid have only grown during this time of COVID. Our comprehensive 5-year expansion effort continues to raise the resources needed to grow and sustain legal aid's programs and build new opportunities to serve families living in poverty. It is with great pride and deep gratitude to our campaign leadership and over 200 campaign supporters who represent the diverse fabric of this community, individuals, foundations, corporations, and law firms, that I report to you today that we have raised $14 million, just $1 million shy of our $15 million goal. We continue to push toward our goal, but meanwhile, we've already started to put those dollars to work. You'll hear all about that in our board president's legal aid report in a few minutes. But first, I'm here to acknowledge some important people who have brought light to our growth. You can read more about all of our honorees in the program book available on this event's webpage. First, I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Legal Aid Board of Directors. They have put in more hours this year than they bargained for as we navigated 2020, and they are ready to take on the challenges of the future. I want to especially thank board members Matt Nacon, Andre Dowdy, and Gladys Reed, who come to the end of their board service this year. We appreciate all they have done to help legal aid grow, thrive, and shine the light of justice in our community. Now on to the staff awards. We present the Claude E. Clark Award, named for legal aid's director for nearly 4 decades, for outstanding service, professional performance, and commitment to legal aid's mission and clients. This year's winners of the Claude E. Clark Award are my colleagues, Tracy Farron, Hilda Hernandez, Heather Lynch, and Laura Post. Next, the Leadership Award, presented to an individual who makes legal aid a better organization, helps others around them achieve more for legal aid clients, and creates a team for justice. This year's Leadership Award recipient is Deborah Dahlman. Our final staff award. I am honored to present the C. Lionel Jones Lifetime Achievement Award to attorney Susan Stauffer. Susan has worked at Legal Aid since June of 1970, more than 50 years. She helped create our family law practice group, serving as its managing attorney for many years. She has helped literally thousands of people achieve safety and economic security. And in recent years, Susan has been a favorite coach of hundreds of attorneys at our volunteer lawyers program brief advice clinics on Saturday mornings in community centers and libraries throughout Northeast Ohio. Susan, you are a force for justice. Congratulations, Susan. If we were together in person, I would now request that all of my colleagues, now 108 strong, stand to be recognized. We now have 64 full-time attorneys and 44 other staff. They are amazing and do so much for our community every day. And during the pandemic, they have been working from 108 branch offices, their homes, across our 5 counties in Northeast Ohio. They are an amazing, talented group. I am proud to work with them and ask all of you watching to applaud them. We leverage our amazing staff resources with the incredible talent of volunteer attorneys. It is my honor to recognize today some special volunteers who were pioneers in our new virtual advice clinics, created early in the coronavirus pandemic to help serve our clients while we socially distance. Jason DeWicki, Donna Colas, Betsy Rader, and Christina Royer are this year's recipients of the Volunteer Lawyers Program's Community Impact Award. Congratulations. Because of your partnership, we have a much deeper reach into the community. Thank you. For our final award today, I have a surprise. We typically present the Legacy of Justice Award to an individual volunteer whose significant accomplishments will endure past their term of service. This year, the Legal Aid Board of Directors Pro Bono Committee did something unconventional. They secretly and unanimously voted to present the Legacy of Justice Award to legal aid attorney Anne McGowan Porath. Anne is retiring this year after an incredible 38-year career with legal aid. Anne created the Volunteer Lawyers Program in 2004. She nurtured it over the past 16 years so that it is today a program nationally recognized for its breadth, innovation, and quality. She has engaged thousands of volunteer lawyers and law students who have served more than 20,000 clients. And Anne cares deeply about those clients. Our pro bono committee and volunteers and I rely on Anne's wise counsel, her creativity, and her passion. Today, on behalf of Legal Aid's Board of Directors, I present the Legacy of Justice Award to Anne McGowan Porath. Anne, congratulations. Now, with pleasure, I introduce my friend, mentor, and partner, Mike Unger, President of Legal Aid's Board of Directors.
Thank you, Colleen, and congratulations to all of our award winners. Welcome again. I so wish we were together in person to celebrate Legal Aid's impact, just as Colleen said. I never imagined delivering these remarks virtually, but flexibility and adaptability represent the backbones of this great organization. My name is Mike Unger. I'm the president of the board of directors for the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, and I'm a partner at the Cleveland law firm of Ulmer & Byrne. On behalf of the board of Legal Aid, I want to try to capture in just a few minutes what has been a breathtaking year for our advocacy. Breathtaking in both our pursuit to extend justice and in making change happen. Thanks to your partnership, we've honed our skills even further to improve our clients' lives, all while in the grips of a brutal pandemic, which has been hard on all of us, but which hit our clients particularly hard, just as you'd imagine it would. It was not like every other year, but at the same time, pandemic or not, it was like every other year. we were still what we've always been since 1905, for 115 years. Think about that, 115 years. Committed to our clients and determined to represent them well and to improve their lives through the awesome power of the law. 2 quests shaped our year, each caused by external events. The first, of course, was COVID-19. But far from knocking legal aid out or even bringing us to our knees, it made us stronger, more resilient, incredibly innovative, and even more nimble. Now, looking back, I'm not sure that the pandemic actually made legal aid stronger. I think that securing justice against the winds of the pandemic brought out this organization's essential strengths. Nimble. I like that word. I like that word as it applies to legal aid. The government's response to the pandemic brought us volumes of new laws. We had to learn them, and we had to learn them fast, and then apply them on the run. And our staff rolled with the punches. They never panicked, they never gave up, and they sure never gave in. They advocated for better and safer court procedures. They learned the new laws and then sped off to courthouses across Northeast Ohio, both physically and virtually, to use those laws to help represent our clients. They created new avenues to communicate with our community, empowering those in need with information about their rights via social media, direct mail, texts, collaborations with community partners, television, phone banks, and Facebook Live events. Flexible, smart, passionate, and committed, even when working from home. Our legal aid attorneys met the rolling disaster of the pandemic with turning on a dime flexibility to meet catastrophes hurtling in from every direction. Social distancing, shutting down our neighborhood clinics? I don't think so. We persisted and we did them virtually. New laws and regulations on unemployment and evictions? We mastered and we litigated them in their many multiple variations and iterations, confronting daily scenarios thought unimaginable just a few months earlier. Permit me to share but one small pandemic-related example of who we are and what we do. We helped vulnerable clients like Molly, who was temporarily unable to work at her job at a daycare center around the time of those first statewide stay-at-home orders. Several weeks later, she was called back to work as daycare was officially deemed to be an essential service. Now, as a single young mom, Molly was unable to find childcare for her own young children and was thus not able to return to work. This led to a termination of her unemployment benefits. Molly got legal aid's help. We advised her that she was entitled to benefits through the CARES Act. And with that help, Molly appealed the discontinuation of benefits and got relief through the federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation Program. Those benefits represent Molly's sole source of financial support during this pandemic. Your partnership helped make that happen. Your investments in legal aid are what enable us to be nimble, constantly mobilizing and adapting to keep serving our clients whose needs only multiplied during the pandemic. Without your support, this wouldn't be possible. And I am proud to report to you that you've invested in one incredible organization. I've witnessed that firsthand this past year, and I can report to you without a doubt in my mind that this is one of the finest and well-run organizations that you will ever encounter. This is an organization that's built to last and built to fight against the ravages of injustice, hate, and poverty. Watch them in action, as I have this past year, and you know that you are in the presence of incredibly smart, passionate people who truly have their acts together. And their energy and their ingenuity, they're contagious. 100% of our board was screaming, "What can we do?" Board members were sending me emails at 2 a.m. We had 100% attendance at board committee work meetings just weeks into the pandemic. You had to be there to see it. Second major event of this past year was equally noteworthy, certainly for this organization. And likewise, it was equally formidable and challenging and just as ugly. If the ill wind that is 2020 has blown in anything good, it's the renewed attention to racism and justice in America. Or we should say, the poisoned connections between racism, poverty, and injustice in America, affecting in so many profound ways the clients that we represent. As Black Lives Matter and the national response to police killings has reemerged on the public agenda, we at Legal Aid were already hard at work on becoming a more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive organization. And we had already embraced the reality that we cannot end poverty without ending racism. Now, this justice quest is nothing new for us. That's obvious. In fact, earlier this year, as some may recall, I sent out an impassioned plea to which so many of you responded positively, as we and so many of our colleagues were asking the same question. What can I do to fight racism? To me, the answer was and remains very, very clear. I took my opportunity as president of this board to broadcast that very question and answer far and wide, and I'll take one last opportunity, if you'll indulge me as president, to do so here. The answer is, join us. Join us. Join Legal Aid as we fight together against the effects of racism, hatred, and poverty every single day. Our mission is to spread and strengthen justice for those who live in the shadows of our democracy. Working for systemic justice, the big picture, has always been at the central core of our DNA. Indeed, it is the animating mission of Legal Aid. The people who founded Cleveland's Legal Aid in 1905, the nation's 5th legal aid society, did so to ameliorate the horrific impacts of racism and injustice. Their mission was, and our mission is, to both address the impact of poverty and injustice and to change the system. That quest is an intent, not just a wish, but one not easily achieved. It's not a newsflash to anyone that our justice system does not respond the same way to everybody. And sadly, the demand for our services continues to exceed our resources. But have no doubt, the very presence of Legal Aid in the halls of justice every day for over 115 years helps to ensure that individuals, no matter their economic or social standing, have a voice and can fully engage in that system to promote and accelerate access to justice, responsive to their individual needs and pursuant to their rights to access such justice. And that is why our campaign for Legal Aid and efforts to extend justice are so critical to expanding both our individual and systemic efforts. Already, your generous support of Legal Aid has allowed us to add 20 new staff. We now have 108 staff, 64 of whom are attorneys, as you heard from Colleen. We're fighting against the effects of poverty in one of our nation's poorest regions. So, at the end of the day, this quest to expand the circle of justice, it's why we're here and will be here, to open that door, whether it's been nailed shut by a slum landlord, generational poverty, centuries of racism, or the coronavirus. Now, as my year as president draws to a close, and it was an unusual year to be sure, I want to take this opportunity to thank our one-of-a-kind, we are so lucky to have her, Executive Director Colleen Cotter. I also want to thank the legal aid team comprised of consummate professionals from top to bottom, as well as my fellow board members, for allowing me to play but a small role this past year in our request. This job has been challenging, it's been thrilling, it's been meaningful, it's been fulfilling, and indeed, I have to concede at times it's been a bit scary. But I am hopeful that I was able to help the organization that I have come to respect, admire, and love so much, and will continue to do so as a board member. And finally, I want to wish my successor and friend Rita Mainberg nothing but success as she takes the reins as president. She is going to do a great job.
Thank you, Mike. We are grateful for your leadership and tenure as board president this year. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Goodwin Liu, the keynote speaker of Legal Aid's 115th annual meeting. Since 2011, Justice Liu has been an Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court. His distinguished career included a clerkship for U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in addition to being a professor and attorney in private practice. The son of Taiwanese immigrants, Justice Liu grew up in Sacramento, where he attended public schools. He graduated from Stanford University in 1991 and attended Oxford University on a Rhodes Scholarship. Justice Liu graduated from Yale Law School in 1998, becoming the first in his family to earn a law degree. He has previously served on the California Commission on Access to Justice, a mission closely connected to us at the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland. Thank you for joining us this year, Justice Liu.
Thank you, Colleen, and congratulations to you and Mike on your leadership of this organization, especially during a trying time for our communities and for our country. I want to also especially congratulate the award winners tonight. Your dedication and accomplishments, not just this year, but over many years, are truly inspiring and motivating for all of us. I want to begin by recalling the wonderful visit to Cleveland I made 7 years ago when I met some of you perhaps at the City Club, at Case Western or Cleveland Marshall. I was very struck by how collaborative, generous, and resilient the Cleveland community is, and those features no doubt serve you well throughout these times of challenge and need. My only regret is that I didn't get to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Cleveland Orchestra. The orchestra, I learned, has long held an annual concert in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, which is a remarkable testament to your community's vision and values. So a return visit to Cleveland is definitely on my list when conditions allow. The reasons we've gathered today are to celebrate the award winners and to recognize the amazing accomplishments of this organization and the entire community. Frankly, I have little to add to the eloquent remarks that have already been given. I'll just offer a few thoughts to underscore the importance of the work you're doing every day. Legal aid exists because we have a justice gap in America. We have a gap between the law on paper and the law in practice. We have a gap between the haves and the have-nots, those who have access to justice and those who have not. According to the World Justice Project, the US ranks 30th among the 37 highest income countries on access and affordability of civil legal services. Nationwide, in 2017, more than 60 million Americans, that's nearly 1 of every 5 people, have income at or below 125% of the poverty line and therefore qualify for civil legal aid funded by the Legal Services Corporation. That's an increase of 10 million people compared to 2007, a decade earlier. For perspective, that increase alone is almost equal to the entire population of Ohio. Over 70% of low-income households have at least one civil legal problem each year. Common issues include consumer and finance issues, housing, and child custody. The most common issue is actually healthcare. and that was the case before the pandemic. However, among the millions of families eligible for legal aid, over 80% of their civil legal problems get inadequate or no legal help. Low-income Americans seek legal help for only 20% of the civil legal problems they face. The principal reason that so few low-income people get legal help is lack of resources. The Legal Services Corporation, established by Congress in 1974, is the single largest source of civil legal aid funding in this country, and this year LSC received a federal appropriation of $415 million, an all-time high. But after adjusting for inflation, this amount is actually smaller than LSC's appropriation 20, 30, or 40 years ago, even though the number of Americans living in poverty has increased. That is why voluntary contributions to legal services are so important. The irony of our unmet legal needs is that there's no shortage of lawyers in America. In fact, there are more lawyers in this country than doctors or firefighters or active duty military personnel. Not long after the Legal Services Corporation was created, President Jimmy Carter observed, "We have the heaviest concentration of lawyers on earth. Indeed, today, 1 for every 300 Americans. 3 times as many as in England, 4 times as many as in Germany, 21 times as many as in Japan. We have more litigation," he said, "but I am not sure that we have more justice. 90% of our lawyers serve 10% of our people. We are over-lawyered and underrepresented." Today, the justice gap is an even more pressing concern in light of the pandemic. The pandemic has affected everyone, but not to an equal degree. Like many of you, I've been working at home since March, with 2 kids doing online school. Frankly, it's not bad at all. We have a comfortable home, good internet, lots of devices, and I have a secure and flexible job. But every day I am aware that we are truly privileged. For millions of people, the pandemic has meant economic struggle, insecurity, and serious health risks. So many of our essential workers are low-wage workers, like grocery clerks, bus drivers, daycare providers, and food production workers, who must risk their own health by going to work, or else risk their incomes, their livelihoods, and their children's futures. Even if we turn the corner on the pandemic next year, what awaits so many of our friends and neighbors is not a return to normal, but a mountain of unpaid bills, past due rent, continuing health challenges, and major gaps in their children's education. And it's no surprise that these burdens are distributed unequally by race, which is associated with underlying conditions that affect health, including socioeconomic status, access to healthcare, and job-related exposure to the coronavirus. The CDC reports that compared to non-Hispanic whites, Black Americans are 40% more likely to be infected, 3.7 times more likely to be hospitalized, and 2.8 times more likely to die from COVID-related disease. Latinos are 70% more likely to be infected, over 4 times more likely to be hospitalized, and also 2.8 times more likely to die from COVID. This past year, as Mike observed, we experienced a cathartic reckoning with historic and present-day racism in our country. It has elevated our consciousness, and that is a good thing. But an elevated consciousness is just a first step on the longer road we must travel to become a nation that truly lives its creed of equal justice under law. So this is all to say that the work you are doing to provide legal aid to those who need it is urgent work of the highest priority. For families facing eviction, for workers facing harassment or discrimination, for borrowers trying to manage debt, for children denied their educational rights, for women suffering domestic violence, for households crushed by medical bills, and for immigrants seeking lawful status or asylum, you are a lifeline. You are a beacon of hope. The work you do is not a matter of charity or noblesse oblige. It is a matter of principle, the principle that every member of our society, no matter what race, religion, income, or language you speak at home, everyone is entitled to equal justice under law. If ordinary people are to have decent, stable lives, They must be protected against unlawful eviction, wage theft, abusive debt collection, racial or sexual harassment, unlawful deportation, toxic exposure, or arbitrary denial of benefits. Without access to justice, people are at risk of exploitation and abuse. By providing access to justice, you are bringing our Constitution's promise to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity ever closer to a living truth. So congratulations on your 115th annual meeting and on the critical work you are doing throughout Northeast Ohio. You are making a difference, and I am very humbled and inspired to be part of your event today. Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Justice Liu, for those wonderful remarks. By providing access to justice, we are bringing our Constitution ever closer to a living truth. Congratulations again to all of our award winners and to all of you for helping us right wrongs. Together, we turn the light of truth upon injustice. Thank you for joining us today.